Trump derangement syndrome. Used to be a joke. Everybody knows now it has actually become real. I truly believe that we're going to reach a point where there's going to be some peer-reviewed paper that's going to show that some combination of the lies about Trump and the truth about Trump have actually damaged people mentally, and he can't damage people spiritually. Jesus can do that. So Satan can damage you spiritually. Jesus doesn't damage you spiritually, but Satan can. You can choose to let that happen. What's happened to Jim Carville? Do you remember him? They used to call him Jimmy the Snake for a good reason, that he used to be a great political practitioner, and he's always been a really evil dude. Truly. I mean, this is a guy who, when Paula Jones was in a hotel room brought up there by then Governor Bill Clinton, who allegedly unzipped and said, I want you to. And she worked for him many, many levels down, that when they paid her off, and I talked to her, I believe Paula Jones's story. She was a sweet lady. When they paid her off, Jimmy Carville said, it's amazing what happened when you drag a $100 bill through a trailer park in Arkansas, the trash you find. That's what he said about this woman. So Jim Carville now has a theory about President Donald Trump.
What you saw is madness. And I don't mean madness like I'm mad at you, you mad at me, you didn't say this. I'm talking about madness like King George III kind of madness. And it could be a combination of being a fat slob, which of course he is. It could be that he's can't sleep at night because his beached whale body can't allow the circulation it needs. I don't know. I'm not a sleep specialist or a medical doctor. But I think we should revisit the possibility of a syphilis diagnosis. And I know a lot of people that watch this channel, or some of you, or we get any number of MDs and professionals that are.
He is attempting to make this serious. And if you know anything about President Trump, he's a germaphobe. He admits it. So Jimmy Carville is the latest example of this. And exactly what is the King George thing? This week we had the Supreme Court once again reveal themselves as utterly broken. You want King George? It's a district court judge who now has the power to tell the President of the United States of America how to run the executive branch when it comes to budgets. None of this can be defended constitutionally. John Roberts and Amy Coney Barrett are apparently just completely taken, probably with some form of derangement syndrome against Trump. We've got to have some restraints on him. But when you take this all in reverse and look at the behavior of figurehead Biden and the people who ran him, it's simply Trump in reverse to what they did. They launched USAID into this monstrosity. President Trump is unlaunching it. It was executive orders out of the White House that forced schools and colleges to go out and lie about gender theory. And President Trump's just undoing that. It's the same thing in reverse. This is Molly Hemingway, fun lady, writes a lot writes books on elections, and she's a good thinker, and she lives in Northern Virginia. She writes this: one of my neighborhood listservs here in Northern Virginia is trying to organize various protests. Kind of interesting to see who's organizing and what they're recommending for protest signs, etc. Quote, illegitimate president rhetoric is okay again, apparently. March on Washington. We must act now. The United States is under siege from within, hijacked by an illegitimate president, an administration protected by a system unwilling to uphold our constitutional safeguards. March 14th has also been designated as a national strike day. We encourage workers from around the country to join us in D.C. Impeach, remove, stop the coup. Well, just up the street or down the street, depending where you live in Virginia, you had John Roberts and Amy Coney Barrett say, yeah, a district court judge has more power than the President of the United States over the budget of the executive. But yes, it's all very panicky. That particular piece cannot be overstated. It cannot be overexplained. The president who has achieved either a majority or a plurality of votes in the country from everybody who voted in the presidential election, everybody, the guy who represents the most people. Second down is the Senate. statewide elections, they represent the second most people. And then congressional districts, they represent the third most people in terms of the legislative and executive branches at the federal level. And this judge, a district court judge who is appointed, represents no one. This turns the constitutional structure upside down, and the Supreme Court allowed this to happen. And I think it's because they do not want President Trump to succeed in dismantling the deep state. And it could be, and I've read this, that the New York Post is a piece speculating that Amy Coney Barrett is panicked because of the assassination attempts against Brett Kavanaugh. Hey, that's interesting. You know what? Merrick Garland never did anything about that. I wonder why. That she's afraid for her kids. That makes sense. So step down off the court. If you are operating in the Supreme Court out of fear, making decisions like this out of fear, please step off the court. And John Roberts is just reliably unreliable. This cannot be defended constitutionally. Howard Kurtz was asking a question that all of D.C. puzzled over, and it had to do with going back to the Zelensky meeting. And D.C. cannot figure this out.
Why hold the meeting in front of the cameras?
Because President Trump is the most transparent president in history. And as he said, it was great for the cameras to be in there because the American people and the world were able to see what the president and his team has seen behind the scenes in negotiating with President Zelensky's team. They have continually denied the pragmatic reality of where their country stands today. 3 years have passed. Hundreds of thousands of people have died. Zelensky is losing the support of the American public for funding this effort. And it's a different sheriff in town. President Trump is not the same as President Biden. He has different priorities. He wants to negotiate a deal, and President Zelensky failed to recognize that.
Caroline, you...
So Howard Kurtz asks a question in reverse. This is the D.C. mindset. Why are we letting the people see what we're doing? Why would we let the American people who voted for President Trump see him in action with Vladimir Zelensky, a country that we virtually adopted and are forced to underwrite the pensions of the government workers, their retirements, health care, etc. And President Trump's trying to do everything he can to end this war, but why do it in public? No, it's a question in reverse. The question should be, why did you ever not do it in public? Why do you hide anything from us? Okay, ongoing criminal investigations and intel work where we're trying to capture terrorists or where our troops are going to be placed, please hide that from us, because otherwise you're not hiding it from the world. But negotiations like this, no, we should see all of it. Jimmy Carville saying that President Trump has syphilis, or suggesting that he does, is it's a more advanced version of, but this is totally irregular. Here's what's irregular from a real-life perspective. I boil this down so often on the show to something that it's does it work if everybody does it, is the theory. Try it in your workplace. You guys are having a meeting. Let's say that you are director-level people. You guys are having some meetings, and it's a decision-making meeting, and up to the door comes a vice president or two, and they decide they want to pop into the meeting. And you say, wait, hold, what are you doing? We wanted to come in. No, you can't. We don't want you to see this. Does that work? Take it to a home level. You know, your daughter has a boy over to the house, and these are the rules. Okay, you can begin to visit with this boy. You're 17, maybe we're okay with you dating, and you go out with other people. He can come over to the house and have dinner. We'd like to get to know him. We'd like to see how you're selecting boys in your life. But you will stay in the living room. You will stay within our eyesight. There is no going into separate rooms. And you go to the bathroom and come out, and your daughter's upstairs with the boy, and the door's locked, and you knock on the door, let me in. No. Let me in. No. This is private. And do you kick the door in? Probably. It's the whole question's in reverse. And when it comes to Trump and Clinton, or Trump and Putin, Trump gave Zelensky Javelin missiles, Obama didn't. Trump killed Russian forces in Syria that was helping ISIS. The Biden and Obama didn't. There is not a single shred of evidence that Trump did anything to help Putin in this war that the other side started. And you can pull up relatively recent history. 2013, William Jefferson Blythe Clinton III went on the TV with Piers Morgan, and they talked about Vlad Putin.
Look, Mr. Putin he's very smart.
Well, you know him better than most people.
Yeah, I do.
What was he like behind closed doors, away from, the sort of the public utterances?
Smart and remarkably, we had a really good, blunt relationship.
If President Trump said he had a good, blunt relationship with Vlad Putin, where does that go? Sorry I'll let him finish. And if you're watching the video version of this, man, Bill Clinton used to be healthy. What happened then? Maybe he's got syphilis.
How blunt?
Brutally blunt.
Ever fisticuffs?
No, but I think, I think the right strategy most of the time but it's frustrating to people in your line of work. You should be brutally honest with people in private. And then if you want them to help you, try to avoid embarrassing them in public.
Right.
Now, sometimes they do things which make it impossible for you to keep quiet. But by and large, I found all the people I dealt with appreciated it if I told them the truth. How I honestly felt and what our interests were and what our objectives were. And they also appreciated it when I didn't kick them around in public for as long as I couldn't kick them around. So, that's my experience. And
did Putin ever renege on a personal agreement he made to you?
He did not.
So behind closed doors, he could be trusted?
He kept his word in all the deals we made.
And if Trump said that, the corruption we'd be experiencing. And look, we are at a point where either corruption wins or loses. That's the point we're at. I understand that. It doesn't get any clearer. President Trump is allowed to resize government in a proper way or not. If the empire wins, that's going to do something to our bank accounts, our retirement accounts. If Trump wins, something else. So you have to be ready for either occasion. My friend Zach Abraham can help you get ready. If you're 5, 10, 15 years from retirement, or you're a young person and you actually want to retire one day, go attend his free live webinar. It is at knowyourriskradio.com. It's coming up this month, Thursday, the 25th at 3:30 Pacific time. It's free, but you have to register to attend. Go to knowyourriskradio.com, KNOW, knowyourriskradio.com. Zach will talk about risk management, active management of portfolios, and how that works. Knowyourriskradio.com. Bulwark Capital Management is an investment advisor representative, Trek Financial LLC, and SEC registered investment advisor. Investments involve risk and are not guaranteed. Past performance doesn't guarantee future results. Trek 135-27.